Jim, you there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an informed discussion and one that we have to have. And everybody's making some really good points, and it's a very tough moment. The idea of selling right now, I can't say that I disagree with that because I think the market's going lower. At the same time, this is not the level that I would do. I think that you could get another bounce. But I also want to point out, and I'm going to be very straight about this, you had a guy on this week, Jeff Gundlach, and I intemperately was critical of him. And he's proving to be very right. And I just want to get that off my chest because I'm sorry about what I said. It was not right. This is the heat of the battle moment. This is the most I've seen since the Great Depression or Great Recession, where there's just a lot of different temperaments. And I just kind of want to cool things myself by saying I shouldn't have said what I did.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously, negative. He said that we're in a bear market. We're down what?
But I agree with him. I've been recommending that people own some CDs. I actually have never recommended that since 2007. I bought some CDs myself. Obviously, I'm 10 years older than I was then. I think gold works. But most importantly, I'm completely cognizant of what Kevin O'Leary said, which is that the mixed message was hard. Do I want to be like what Josh said, depending upon the Fed? I don't really know. All I know is that we have this week Micron bad, Accenture bad, Carnival Cruise bad, FedEx bad. A number of different retailers that are bad. Housing's terrible. The banks are bad. I don't even know what oil's telling you. Autos are bad. And what's working? Procter & Gamble?
Yeah, I mean, this whole notion of what the Fed has done this week, Jim, you've been critical of the Fed. Everybody knows that. What do you make of Powell versus Williams today with Steve? It seemed to temporarily cool off the market, but then we pretty much gave those gains. And in fact, now we're negative by 73 on the Dow.
Oh, no, we're going to go lower. Look, I think actions speak louder than words. Fed did hike. I also felt that when this constant, we are listening, I don't want them to listen. I want them to repudiate. I want them to say, you know what, the companies are really starting to say different things. Now, I know that there are issues even on this panel about how much homework that the Fed does, and that's fine. All I'm saying is the companies I speak to, which may be different from the ones they speak to, have really seen a pretty quick downtick. I think people don't think that there can be this big a decline, but what are the banks telling you? Lending's starting to go down. Housing is just terrible. So, look, I'm in a world where the fundamentals have deteriorated, and therefore I think it's not just sentiment. I think that sentiment is terrible, but sentiment's terrible because the fundamentals got bad. Do
you worry that, Gundlach said we're going to be in this bear market and it's going to last for a long time. Is that the greatest fear at this point, that maybe it's exacerbated by Fed, a policy error, but that this ugly market that we're in could actually last for longer than we think?
Well, look, I think Jeff is unbelievably good, and I, of course, watched every minute of it wrapped, and he's like the best bond guy. He's been my bond guru forever. What I reacted to was more of I know that people are going to say, get out now. I had a lot of people who watched me said, I just heard Gundlach, really respect him, which I do. He's saying, just get out now. And I don't want to do that because it didn't even, in 2007, we were in tremendous systemic risk. And it made a lot of sense to just dump, okay? And I was in favor of it. Someone on Today's show said, Jim, you're yelling fire in a crowded theater. And I said, yeah, but the theater's burning. And the market was substantially higher, then proceeded to lose 50%. So my take is this. I don't want people to be scared. I think you do need more cash. I think you need to be a lot more defensive. I did say that I want to buy CDs. I'm actually on the same side of the trade of the man I respect, Jeff Gundlach, and that's why I say I am sorry and I apologize, and I tend not to do much of that, frankly. But he's the idea of the 5 years made people who watch my show say, I guess you love him, we should sell everything. I don't want people to do that. I do want them to be much more cautious, and I wish I'd been more cautious, but no disrespect. The guy's really good, and he raised some good points. But when you say the nuclear winter part, I just know that a lot of people get scared. And I want them to be calm, make rational decisions to lighten up, but not to just wholesale sell. Because, look, if you are a diversified portfolio, and you're sitting there with McCormick, and you got some Procter, and you got some gold, and you got some of these, higher-yielding stocks where they can pay the dividend, you're going to make some money. And I just don't want people to panic.
Understood. And I'm sure Jeffrey's appreciative of what you said, Jim.
I've communicated to him directly, too. I hope he did take my email because I feel badly. I respect him. He's a great guy. And it's the heat of the moment. I make some mistakes in what I say. And I want to be a man enough to own up to it because that guy doesn't deserve it.
Let me ask you this. We play off the top of our show, all of these issues that the market is facing. And it's the shutdown. It's Mattis walking out the door and slamming it behind him. It's the Fed. It's everything. Yes, we're oversold, right? You've said it yourself. But what is the catalyst? What is the catalyst to stop this selling?
Well, I think that there will be, we need new money in, and we need people to believe that, the market has come down enough that the selling dries up, the redemptions end, and we get a lot of accidental high yielders. We get companies that we know that can pay the dividends that are suddenly yielding a lot. We would love, I don't want to be too Fed dependent in the sense we would love for Powell to change his mind, but I think the data is going to I think the data is going to make him change his mind. But that's unfortunately not going to be for a couple of months. It's not going to be the January meeting. Too big a switch. But we need Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Netflix, the cloud kings, all to stop going down. And they won't stop going down until the ETFs that are selling them all finish the redemption stop. And you'll know. I mean, but every one of those has a negative. The Facebook downgrade and Apple. We just saw John Ford talk to Qualcomm. Apple lawsuit, terrible. Who knows what's going on with Netflix? I think Apple is doing well, but nobody really cares. We have to see the selling in the stocks that started bringing us down decline, or the velocity of the decline. And I really don't know yet what happens. I do feel that we saw when Williams was a little more, I would say, attuned, that we could get a bounce. But that's not, like Josh said, that's not what it's about. We need to see the selling stop because the fundamentals aren't this bad. And right now, we got so much bad news about the economy from these major companies that you have to let it run its course. And can I blame anyone for not selling Goldman Sachs? If I have to read, is there another Asian country that's going to go after Goldman? All the things that are pointing against these stocks are real. None of these are phantom. And I need to see people stop being desperate.
Yeah.
And right now they're desperate to get out.
Jim, you're a gentleman. Thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to reiterate. I apologize. I never mean to say anything of people I respect. I do not mean to be as intemperate as I was. Okay?
Yeah, you enjoy your vacation.